Welcome back, guys, and this is the second in the navigation series, and what I'm going to be talking about today is the Silva Compass. Okay then, so why do we need a compass? Now, everyone nowadays, well, a lot of people nowadays rely on technology for navigation, don't we? So people using phones, GPSs, stuff like that, and they're basically just looking at a screen and following it. Now, there's a couple of reasons why you shouldn't rely on that. If you solely rely on technology, at some point that technology is going to fail you, I guarantee you. And if it fails you when things are at its worst, then it can become life-threatening. So if you're out in the hills, it's raining, visibility is bad, you've maybe got a little bit lost, you're hungry, you haven't got enough food on you, stuff like that, then you pick up an injury of some sort, or somebody in your party picks up an injury, and then your technology fails, that's when things will go horribly wrong. And if you're not carrying one of these and a map, or if you are carrying them and you don't know how to use them, that's when things are going to go horribly wrong. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of people come a cropper nowadays, because of the reliance on technology. So all I'm going to do today, just real basic stuff. I'm just going to introduce you to all the parts of the compass, how it's used, and then in further videos I'm going to show you how to take bearings and how to actually navigate. Alrighty then, this is a Silva Compass. There are two main types of compasses. There's a Silva Compass, which is the one we've got here, and there's a Prismatic Compass. The Prismatic Compass is kind of like a little round box thing. You flip the lid open, it's got prismatic lens on the top, and it's really accurate. Only thing is, it's not really that sort of practical for use when you're out moving on the hills and stuff, I find anyway. I find that this type is much more practical, and this is the more sort of common one in use in the UK at least. So this is the one that I'll be covering today. I'm not going to talk about the prismatic one at all. You can see that it's got a lanyard on it, okay, so this is attached to the bottom, the base of the actual compass itself, and you've got a lanyard coming off. So what I do with mine is I tie this lanyard to a fixed point on my jacket, and I make sure that it's fixed onto me, and if I take that jacket off, I then take the compass out and I attach it to another item on my clothing. Just one thing, wherever you carry a compass, just be careful, because as you can see here, it's relatively thin plastic. I mean, you know, it's a few millimetres, probably about 4 or 5 millimetres or something, but it's not super sturdy, so I could break this in my hands now if I wanted to. So wherever you're carrying it, make sure it's in a safe place where it's not going to get damaged with things like keys, knives, whatever, or it's in a position where you could potentially fall and break it in your pocket. So just make sure you take care of your compass, because if you break this and you haven't got a backup and you're using this to navigate with, then you're basically up shit creek, ain't you? Alrighty, so what I'm going to do next then is talk about the different parts of the compass itself. Alrighty, so on the base of the compass then, the plastic base, what we've got at the top end here is roamers. Alright, so the bottom one here, this is an unusual map scale, this one here. I've never actually used this type of map. It's 1 in 63,360. Okay, bit of a random map scale. So the next one up here, this is 1 in 50,000. And what these roamers are for here then, you can see it's marked off in increments up to 10 basically. These are for getting a very accurate grid, and you place the corner in the point where you want to take the grid reference from, and then you read back along this, and that will give you a very accurate way of recording your grid. The next roamer up here, this runs along the edge of the compass, and down here, that's a 1 in 25,000 scale roamer. Next part of the compass is here then. This is the direction of travel arrow there. So when you're using the bearing, when you're marching on it, that basically points in the direction that you want to march or want to walk. In conjunction with that then, you've got this luminous point here. So that's used with the direction of travel arrow, pointing in the same direction for when you're walking in low light conditions or at night. This part here then, this is a magnifying lens, and that's basically just used to place over the map if you've got something you can't quite make out, because it might be a complex area, a lot of detail or something, then you use that you know, pick out the detail and see what you're looking at. You've also got, running along this top edge here, like a ruler. You can see that marked there in centimetres along the top here. So that's nothing to do with aroma, that's just a ruler, and you can use that for measuring distances from point A to point B and stuff like that, okay? On the other side of the compass then, you've got the same thing over here, but that's in inches. Same sort of thing. Right then, so looking at the main sort of part of the compass in the middle here, you've got a dial. This dial moves, alright? And I'm not going to go too much into detail of how you use that at the moment, but all I'll say is that's used for taking bearings and marching on bearings. You'll notice on the dial then, you've got numbers going all the way around it, and you'll notice that they're kind of not what you're expecting to see in terms of degrees. Everyone knows there's 360 degrees in a circle. This is a military compass and it's marked in mils. So mils, there's 6,400 mils in a circle. So north would be at 0 or 6,400 and south would be at 3,200. These are marked so they don't actually put on the double zero at the end. So for 6,400 it's got 64 rather than 6,400 because there's not enough space to put all the digits on. And basically it's kind of every other, so it's every even number. So as you can see there, it's got like 0, 2, 0, 4 and so on. There is a longer increment in between each one, so you can see 0, 1 as well, but it's not marked with a 1, it's just the sort of increment. And then in between those you've got a smaller increment, and that's obviously the half, so 5, 0. So what we've got here then, that's 0, 4, next to that would be 0, 4, 50, then 0, 5, and then 0, 5, 50, and so on, okay? Looking into the actual dial itself then, what you can see is that thing moving around is the magnetic needle, okay? So this is the north side of the needle, that's the south side of the needle. And it's very important that you remember that the north side is the red side with the sort of yellow marking on it. It does have an N on there, but it's very small. Because if you get those the wrong way round, when you're taking a bearing or marching on a bearing, then you're going to come a cropper. It's going to go wrong. All right. So just remember that the north side is there and the red side. On the base of this dial then, as you turn it, you can see there's like an arrow on the bottom, isn't there, with the 2 luminous dots. All right. So that arrow there with the 2 luminous dots, when you're taking a bearing, when you're marching on one, what you do is you line up your north pointer in between those 2, and it does dance around a little bit depending on how you're holding the compass, like so, and you march on the bearing like so, okay? Also on the bottom of that, you probably noticed there's these lines, these parallel lines on the bottom of the compass. Now they're used for taking bearings off a map, so grid bearings off a map. And again, I'll cover that in another sort of talk. So that's the main parts on the compass. On the bottom of the compass, what you've got is a couple of little points here. You've got this one here, this one here, and this one here. And what they are, they're kind of like little rubberized points. So the idea behind these is when you're putting this on a map and taking a bearing, it kind of holds it in place and kind of stops it a little bit from kind of moving around as you're trying to take a bearing and stuff. So that's the main parts of the compass right there. Okay then, carriage of the compass, as I mentioned earlier, it's very important that you look after your compass. This is a bit of survival kit really. I basically class this as, you know, just as important as my phone, as my wallet, as my car keys, as my knife, as my firelighting kit. Alright, so as I mentioned before, top jacket pocket, what I do is I tie it. I've actually got this tied to the zipper on this one because there's not a point inside to tie it to. So I tie it on, make sure the lanyard's tucked out of the way so it doesn't catch anything, and it just sits there nicely. Alright, if you put them into your lower pockets down here, they're going to be in amongst maybe, you know, your car keys, your phone, stuff like that, and it could get broken. If you put it into your pocket of your trousers, you take a fall on a rock or something, it's as good chance it's going to get broken. Alright, so I personally find this sort of pocket up here, or maybe an inside pocket like in there if you've got one like that, that's the best place to put them. And also it wants to be in a position where it's accessible. If it's not, then you're going to, you know, if it's a pain in the ass to get to, then you're probably not going to want to get to it, and you'll just say, oh, I won't bother, and you can end up walking off in the wrong direction. All right, so have it accessible so it's easy to get to. You can just get it out, take your bearing, make sure you know where you're going, and then just get it away, and then you're back on your feet again, moving. All right. Now, protection of the compass. I know a lot of guys in the military, and I did myself as well, what they did is they kind of improvised a little protective sleeve for the compass, and what you can do is you can get some really sort of thin foam, and basically just make a shape over the compass itself to protect it. So what you can do is just make like a little sleeve, put some black tape around it, and improvise a little sleeve. So if you did fall over and, you know, your chest planted, face planted into something, it'd help protect this. And also, you know, if for some reason you've got it in your pack, so if you weren't actually navigating that day but you had it in there as a backup, just for, you know, as a backup device or something, then you could put it in there and it'll protect it from anything else in your bag. There are some commercial items you can get. They're kind of rare. It's a bit of a weird one, really. I think it's really strange that there's not a bigger market for things that would protect this, because it's not that robust compared to most items you carry. But you can get these little sleeve things here, okay? So these are made by an Australian company called Plat Attack, and they're available in the UK from a company called Lumine. I've mentioned them before in one of my videos. Basically what happens with these is these just kind of slot on the back part of the compass, and you can see there that just fits over like a sleeve, and you run the lanyard through a little hole in the back here, and then that would just kind of dangle on your string, on your cord, and then when you're taking your bearing, when you finish using it, you just kind of slot that back on. And it's not going to protect the front end of the compass, but it's going to protect the most important bit, where the dial and the needle and everything is in there, okay? So that's just a little bit on looking after your compass, where to carry it, that sort of thing. So that was just a quick introduction to the Silva Compass today. So anyone that hasn't seen one before, it's just a bit of an introduction and show how it works and what the things are on it. I will be going more into depth on taking bearings, marching on bearings, resection, stuff like that in further videos. So this is just the introduction to the compass itself. I look forward to any comments, suggestions or anything in the comment section below, and also hopefully see you soon on some of the events that we're going to be running this year. Quite excited that the restrictions are starting to get eased, and we're looking forward to getting things moving. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and also don't forget to keep low and move fast. Pow!